Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman and welcome to my cartoon countdown for November 7th, 2020. Every week we do the Trump cartoon countdown based upon the most popular cartoons on Twitter, right down to the number one. It's like the Casey Kasem countdown. Those of you who are old enough to remember Casey Kasem, they used to do the countdown on Sunday mornings. Well, it's Saturday morning. So anyway, I just want to, before I get into that, I want to introduce you to my brand new book that's available from Amazon in ebook form right now until it is completed, and then it'll be in paperback in early January sometime. And this is the cover of it. That's the cover page, title page cover. Okay, now let's start off with the countdown. Starting off the week, here is number 5. This is President Trump campaigning on the Trump claims without evidence doctors are inflating corona death counts to get more money. He made that statement and claim. So here's the cartoon that reflects that. And here's the boat. This is supposed to be a doctor's boat saying, "My COVID." You see? Trump 2020 sign. Here's the boat, and here's the cartoon. Our doctors get more money if someone dies from COVID. Word for word from President Trump, word for word. You know that, right? I mean, our doctors are very smart. So what they do is they say, "I'm sorry, but everybody dies of COVID." Somebody said that. Now here's the part I injected myself with this cartoon. Somebody said the yacht behind me belongs to a COVID doctor. So here's a COVID doctor who he made so much money off of the COVID virus that he went out and bought a yacht, and he named the yacht My COVID. Okay, so there's My COVID yacht, owned by a doctor. There's President Trump, and there's the sign, Trump 2020. There he was in okay. As you all know what's happening with the COVID virus now all over our nation, what's happening, so I don't have to dwell on that, but should be aware of it. So anyway, that's the cartoon. Okay. This cartoon here, okay, this is the thing that happened. Trump thoughts watching video of Biden campaign bus being swarmed in Texas. So there would be Biden's bus was riding along on a Texas highway somewhere, and all of a sudden these trucks came out of nowhere and started kind of harassing the bus, the Biden campaign bus. So Trump said they were basically protecting the people, they cutting off this and that. It's like well, you may use your imagination. So anyway, so I used my imagination, and this is the drawing I came up with. What probably happened here. So here's the Biden bus. Here's the Biden bus, and here's the Trump trucks coming in. Okay, there's the American flag, and there's the Trump flag. Trump, keep America great, 2020. And it's on top of they're going around and around. And here's the lady bus driver, and there's the sign Biden. There's a bus, and here's President Trump watching this on TV. There's President Trump. And here is what he's saying as he watches this. Look at our nice people protecting that Biden campaign bus. Look at their Trump and American flags. These fantastic patriots did nothing wrong. Okay. That's President Trump watching this. Okay. And this is my rendition of my interpretation of what I saw happening, and I drew it in a cartoon with President Trump watching the video on TV on a giant screen. Okay. The next cartoon. Okay, this is Trump thoughts watching his #1 advisor on the White House coronavirus task force neuroradiologist, Dr. Scott Allen. He has no background in infectious diseases, but I'm sure he's a very capable neuroradiologist. So maybe he can X-ray a virus and see what's going on through X-rays. So anyway, here's this cartoon. Here is Dr. Atlas. Here's President Trump thinking about Dr. Atlas, his thumbs up. And here's President Trump watching him on TV, thinking about him. Okay. Trump thoughts watching his #1 advisor on the White House coronavirus task force neuroradiologist, Dr. Scott Atlas, apologized on Sunday for doing a 30-minute interview with Russia's state-backed RT network. RT was Russia Today, saying he was unaware they are a registered foreign agent. He just says word for word, he was unaware. He didn't know they were affiliated with a Russian agent. Meaning, under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, its content is labeled as propaganda attempting to influence U.S. public opinion, policy, and laws. That means that anybody who has to register is deemed as a bad influence on the United States. So this network was registered, okay? And Dr. Atlas did a 30-minute interview with them telling him his thoughts about how America basically went wrong in doing all these lockdowns, and the masks were unnecessary, and the lockdowns were unnecessary, things like that, and basically countering the efforts of the CDC, Center for Disease Control, and going the opposite direction and countering President Trump's own task force, which now this Dr. Atlas is now the greatest influence on. So President Trump basically doesn't meet with the task force, he meets with Dr. Atlas. So Dr. Atlas, by de facto, is the task force as far as President Trump is concerned, basically, by de facto, because he only meets with Dr. Atlas. Apparently he's not meeting, and he's having this feud with Anthony Fauci is going to fire him pretty soon. So he's not firing Dr. Atlas, you can be sure of that one. So anyway, not at least for a couple of months. Dr. I'm just saying that after the election, he said he was going to fire him. Whether Dr. Atlas will have his job back in a couple of months if President Biden is elected, President Biden indicated he would hire him back. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. So President Trump will, in all probabilities, because he says we'll see what happens. When he says we'll see what happens with Anthony Fauci, it means something. He ain't going to be around too long. That's so. Anyway, so the story is that Dr. Fauci can collect unemployment for 2 months. Anyway, until he gets back to work if Vice President Biden is elected president of the United States. If not, we'll have Dr. Atlas running the program for another 4 years, and so anyway, that's that. Running the task force, I should say, for another 4 years. His own task force. Anyway, here's Dr. Atlas, and here's President Trump. And here's President Trump responding to Dr. Atlas. Here, he's learning about this for the first time that Dr. Atlas had done this 30-minute interview, Okay, so here he goes. Here's President Trump watching this for the first time. This is his thoughts about Dr. Atlas with his thumbs up and everything. Yeah. So he's saying here, at least he's loyal. He's loyal. Whether he's doing it for the Russian network, he's loyal to me. So that's all that counts, right? So anyway, at least he's loyal to President Trump. And if he turns against me and starts wearing a mask, turns against him, that would be a big insult to wear a mask. Especially going to a meeting with President Trump to wear a mask, big insult, So anyway, and starts wearing a mask, I'll have the flexibility to fire him. So President Trump says he likes to hire acting people, not regular people. People in acting cabinet positions gives him more flexibility. You see, if he hired, like we have an acting chief of staff, Mulvaney, we have an acting this and acting that. So he gives him more flexibility. So here he's hiring somebody who's not an immunologist, which gives him more flexibility, which is better for the nation, for him to have more flexibility so he can guide the nation. So that's his philosophy. Okay? Anyway, here we go. And here we go. At least he's loyal, and if he turns against me and starts wearing a mask, I'll have the flexibility, to fire him. No complaints from scientists, swamp of experts. So President Trump has affiliated Dr. Fauci with the Democratic swamp, with the swamp, and so he's put him in the swamp in his verbiage, in his talks. So he considers Dr. Fauci, in essence, part of the swamp, or maybe perhaps even the deep state. I don't know. He never said he affiliated with the deep state. That he never did. But he mentioned the swamp. So anyway, so here we go. So fire him. No complaints from scientists, swamp of experts. These people. President Trump is not pro-science. He's basically anti-science. If you really analyze the statements that he's made, which I'm not going to go into, but if you read up on it, he's not a pro-scientist. He basically refers to them as a bunch of alarmists who don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, scientists, swamp of experts with their idiot global health awards. So he's saying here, and so I got that from Anthony Fauci. He has a global health award. So I injected that, and that's again, these awards to President Trump would be like a demerit. It's a demerit to have more awards you got, the more demerits you got, because that shows you're with these organizations, these health organizations, support you. That means you're against me, against what my philosophy is about keeping the economy going and keeping people alive financially, which is more important than keeping them alive physically, in a sense. I mean, that's a high step, but it appears that way. Okay, so President Trump is concerned about the stock market. He's concerned about people getting out and having a good time, going to beaches, going to dances, going to rallies and things like that without masks, and just forgetting about it and saying, well, we're all part of the herd, and those of us who live, those who die, die, And those of us have a strong immune system, just go on hanging in there and fighting the virus in ourselves. So that was that cartoon. President Trump watching this and thinking about his loyal advisor, number one loyal advisor, his own, the Dr. Atlas, number one and only member by de facto of the task force that relates to President Trump, that President Trump relates to, respects, and trusts. Okay, he doesn't trust Dr. Fauci anymore. That's very clear. When he's talking about firing somebody, he don't trust them no more. So anyway, this is the man that President Trump has put the country in his hands in terms of guiding us. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's the TV. Okay. All right, now, this is an interesting cartoon. It's not really a cartoon because it's more of a chronology of tweets from President Trump with my own future tweet injected. So it's more, you could call it some sort of a chronology of tweets from President Trump. So anyway, here we go. These are all his most recent and memorable tweets. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to read them up real quick. So here's President Trump saying, "Stop the count." Okay. In terms of the election, he said, "Stop the count. Stop the count." Then he went on to tweet, "Any vote that came in after the election will not be counted." He tweeted that, and Twitter added to that, some votes may still need to be counted. Okay, because different states have different regulations. In some states, he could be correct that the state law requires that they don't count. Other states have different laws. So President Trump is basically putting every state in the union under his umbrella and saying, this is my mandate. he's mandating that to the nation, whereas comes under states' rights. And every state has their different laws, is for election laws. And so that's why Twitter injected that. Some votes may still need to be counted because some states have different laws that permit that after a certain date that it they can be counted. So, but not a month or two later, but a few days or a week, maybe, who knows. But that's the point, is that President Trump didn't really have the legal authority to make that statement, because every state election law is left up to the states, and that's in the I believe that's in the Constitution. State law election law is up to the states. It's states' rights. It comes under states' rights. So President Trump here is denying states' rights and saying, well, if it's not in there, that's the law. That's Trump law, which supersedes the Constitution. So I mean, that's his framework of thinking here. So anyway, so that was that one. That's the second one. Now here's his last, the other tweet he did. Okay. Yeah, this is the last one. I'll let you try to read it, because it's better that way, in a way, sometimes, if you read it first, because this is a little lengthy. I don't want to start dwelling on this, because I don't want to put people to sleep. Okay. We have claimed for electoral vote purposes the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So he's claiming that as a victory, which won't allow legal observers. So he's making a statement that they won't, has no proof that they're not allowing legal observers. At that point, there's no, he didn't say, well, this is it, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're putting up, there's no proof to that statement, but he's saying that. The state of Georgia, which we have claimed for electoral vote purposes, that means for electoral vote purposes, that means for part of the elect, he needs 270 votes to win, so he wants the votes to win. So he's doing that for the purpose of increasing his electoral votes. He cares more about the electoral votes than he does about the Constitution, apparently. So, which won't allow legal observers, because he's making a statement here that is not true, and he's saying that he's claiming them before the election. I mean, this country is based upon elections, not based upon what a president says. That's what the Revolutionary War is fought all about. Not to have a king to say, well, that's that, I'm king forever, divine right theory. Basically, that was divine right theory, which President Trump is implementing here, a divine right theory, which goes way back to the argument that kings and these monarchs have the right to rule because they were of divine right. This was their birthright, and they have divine right to rule and do as they please. So Trump here is asserting that divine right privilege, above the Constitution. So I mean, this is what's going on. Okay, I want you to think for yourself. I don't want to influence people, even though the election is in and tethered. I still want people to think for themselves. So I'm just giving you the facts here. You make the call. So this is apparently what in the direction that President Trump is going in here with the divine right theory. Okay, the state of North Carolina, each of which has a big Trump lead. So he's saying here that he's claimed these states because he's leading in those states, basically, and then he wants them to stop voting in the states that he's leading in, and he's claiming it. He says, give up, people, stay home, because it's all over. I've won, and I don't want anybody else going out to the polls today because it's over. Like it's gone, it's finished, boom. So that's what he's saying. He's again, a divine right theory mentality here of saying that. So each has a big, each one of which has a big Trump lead. Additionally, we hereby claim the state of Michigan. He put that in Michigan like a cook cooking up a dinner. Oh, I forgot the salt. Well, he forgot Michigan. Okay. Additionally, we hereby claim the state of Michigan. He went on to say, this is from Twitter, official sources may not have called the race when this was tweeted. So basically, Twitter is saying here that President Trump is making again a statement that there's no foundation to make constitutionally or in reality, because people are still voting and the polls are open. So you can't draw that conclusion. So it's constitutionally not accurate, and it's not accurate on the ground on the ground either. So Twitter is saying again, official sources may not have called the race when this was tweeted, because official sources mean the election people who run the election. President Trump is the president of the United States, but he doesn't run the election. That's why that's the name of democracy, is that the executive branch of government does not run elections. So, I mean, so you take it from there. Anyway, that's it. Now, here comes what I did was, I said, yeah, President Trump, future tweet. Okay, this is Donald J. Trump, future tweet, based upon what he said thus far, and based upon, there was a thing with the Postal Service where he had this man who he appointed as the head of the Postal Service to basically dismantle the post office in the name of reorganization. He took out all these machines that sorted the mail, and he took out everything. So basically, that was his way of doing things to reorganize the post office. He took out all these sorting machines and things like that were crucial. So, and then the deliveries started getting messed up. People weren't getting their mail, and everybody got upset over that. And then they took him to court to stop it until after the election, that he wasn't going to do any more reorganization. Okay, we'll call it reorganization, taking out the sorting machines and smashing them, saying, well, we got that's reorganization. So he was going to do that, saying that, and basically stopping them from doing this until after the election. So now with 2 months to go, President Trump has got a free hand on the Postal Service after the election. So we got to hope that this reorganization, as far as dismantling the post office, doesn't continue, and that could be his last official act of dismantling the post office, to reorganize it. So. It's like a scorched earth policy, If you want a good postal service, you got to first destroy it, and then you got to build it up again, scorched earth. So anyway, that was that's what they're saying. So when they stopped him from taking out the sorting machines, it meant until after the election. So now the election settles in, whatever the outcome is, then basically President Trump has a free hand with his postal head to go about his business of reorganizing the Postal Service. So there you go. So that was this cartoon here, and here was the tweet. A future tweet. President Trump didn't tweet this. This is a future tweet that I hypothesize he would have liked to, or could have, or at some point might be tweeting in some way, shape, or form to justify taking apart the Postal Service, or dismantling it, let's put it that way, dismantling the Postal Service after the election and after this, it's called an injunction. The court granted an injunction to stop them from doing that, and now the injunction expires after the election, and there goes the post office, so anyway. I'll tell you an interesting story. This is just happened to me the other day. I went in to mail a box of stuff that I had bought to send up north, some people up there, and I got there at about 5 minutes before it was closing, and I went in, put the box together, did all those things. I was in a rush to get it in, and the lady said, "Okay, you got 3 more minutes or 2 more." And then, just as I went up to the box to put the box up on the thing, boom, the windows comes down, and they closed the doors. They said, "That's it, you didn't make it," just like that. It was unbelievable. So I said to myself, well, that's the way the Postal Service is running now. I mean, if you just, and then that was it. They said, well, we're closed now. And just at that moment in time, they just closed the thing on me. Boom. And I was putting my box up. Boom. The window comes down, and we're closed. And I said, but, I mean, I just did work through all this business, was dressing and everything. We're closed. Time. We should have gotten here 5 minutes early. Should have gotten here 2 minutes earlier. Could have had it. We could have taken it. That's it. We're closed. Time is up. So that's an interesting kind of a footnote to that cartoon, which only happened a few days ago. So anyway, here is el número uno de la semana, number one of the week on Twitter. This is the one that got the most popular. Okay, this is Trump thoughts Wednesday morning, November 4th, this is the day after the election, the right day after the election. Watching reports the election is still undecided following the president hours earlier had declared victory, saying, "This is a fraud on the American people. We were getting ready to win this election. We were getting ready to win, and this is a fraud because it's going over." So he was ready to win. He means he was ready to stop it at 12 midnight on the 3rd, and that was it. Just stop the horse race. Boom. Just like they closed the windows on me the other day. Boom. That's it. Okay? I declared victory, saying, "This is a fraud on the American people. We were getting ready to win this election." Boom. We're at the finish line. And frankly, we did win this election. We won the election on November 3rd, even though it wasn't completed, but election day is November 3rd. Therefore, we won on November 3rd, and therefore, we won the election. That's President Trump's reasoning here. Frankly, we did win we were getting ready to win the election. Frankly, we did win this election. Going on to claim a very sad group of people was trying to disenfranchise voters. Now, without proof, saying there are people out there who are disenfranchising means to stop people from voting who are in favor of President Trump in some way, or sending in ballots that negate other people, or in some shape or form manipulating the voting system illegally. Further saying he'll take the presidential election to the Supreme Court. So President Trump will have to go through states. The reality here is that President Trump will have to go through the state courts to battle each state that he has a conflict with. My guess is he'll probably go to Pennsylvania, number one on his hit list, because that's a democratically run state, you see, and it's got a lot of the electoral votes there. So he'll probably, first number one on the menu will be Pennsylvania, because again, it's democratically run people who run the state. I think the governor is, I'm not 100%, but I think the governor there is a Democratic governor, and it's a Democratic, runs under the leadership of the Democrats. So basically, he'll go there. And he's already said they put up things, I think, like about wallpaper, on the windows or something like that. It could be Christmas time. Somebody went out and got some Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stuff to cheer people up with the coronavirus and all this and that. And maybe they wanted to cheer themselves up, and they got some Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas decorations and put it up on the window to make them feel a little better. It could have been that. Maybe their intent was not to sabotage the election, but to make them feel better with some, again, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer wallpaper along, and if someone got onto the window and blocked out the view, that could be, So he didn't come forth with what kind. I think he said maybe some cardboard. It still could have been. It still could have been Christmas decorations with Santa Claus, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and stuff like that. And, a few jingle bells here and there. Could have been. So. Just to make people feel better about the whole situation with the election and with the coronavirus and everything else. So it could have been that. There's no proof to saying the intent was to block them from seeing what was going on. And so there's no proof here, but President Trump now is looking to, he's looking for some really a dream team of attorneys to represent him. He's not too happy with Rudy Giuliani and Pam Biondi, who've been representing him, and he wants the cream of the crop to represent him now, the dream team, the Trump dream team. So anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself into another cartoon. So anyway, this was number one on Twitter, most popular for the week, and here is We won states that we weren't expected to win, like Florida and Texas, okay? Like my beautiful Florida. They can't catch us. We won't stand for it. And we will get justice at my Supreme Court, which Justice Amy Barrett is now, he feels confident with the Supreme Court that he basically has a good majority of his people, of the conservative court, that he feels that they will fall in line with his program that he's doing that. In this cartoon, he didn't say this. Yeah, he said that, but that's basically what he did say, as a matter of fact. In different stages, he did say this. This is what he said. He's looking to the Supreme Court. He said, they can't catch us. We won states we weren't expected to win. He didn't say this in entirely like I wrote it, but he did say all these statements under a different setting, at different times. So yeah, he did say this, and not together like that, you see, so. That's probably his thinking of down the line. But again, I say he has to first go through the states, because again, this is state law that he's contesting here, and he's going with the states. So first he has to go through the states. And then if he wants to appeal, he can go to the Supreme Court and appeal the ruling of the state court to the Supreme Court. And that's the progression that he has to follow. What will happen in the meantime, that's another thing, whether this will how I don't know how this would hang in there. Who would be I assume that rational people will prevail, and that's why it's up to Republicans. I think back to Barry Goldwater with Nixon when I saw him I was a kid then, and I saw him Barry Goldwater walking up to the White House one afternoon, watching on black and white TV, and I said, that's it for President Nixon, because I remember Barry Goldwater, he was talking about dropping a weapon on Vietnam when it was just beginning, and he says, virtue is no vice in extremism, and talk like that, all that kind of stuff. So I said to myself, there goes President Nixon. Sure enough, President Nixon resigned, and so they kind of made him an offer he couldn't refuse, which was probably that he was going to be impeached. So Barry Goldwater made President Nixon an offer he couldn't refuse. So that's what we need here, is an offer to President Trump that he would, you take it from there. But it's up to the Republicans and the people. It's really not up to the Constitution, and it's not up, in a great sense, it's not up to, the courts can define things, but there's always that uncharted territory that we're in now, that there's no law that can say, can President-elect Biden take the reins of power, or when it's being litigated in the court. I mean, all these things, it takes people to do the right thing. And if people don't do the right thing, then it's going to be a problem. And that's where the Republicans have to decide whether their loyalty is to the United States of America, in the event that Vice President Biden wins the election, and in the event that President Trump used this hand to litigate all the states, and then we have all these court cases going in different states. It's up to the Republican people to say, look, I mean, they got reelected, people reelected them, so they can't take this as a mandate that they can go on their business like they used to, and say, okay, well, President Trump knows what he's doing. We got to go, President Trump. We got to go with his party. So it's up to the Republicans to do the right thing. And I'm going to leave you with that thought. And also, folks, to tell you, you just take care of yourselves and eat right, sleep well, exercise, and wear your mask, and stay away from crowds. And the odds are with you that you'll make it through these days, these times. Let's put it that way. It's no longer these days, it's these times. So I want to thank you for watching my video, and I wish you all, and I always say, God bless, and God bless America.